All right. On today's episode, we will be covering psilocybin, a hallucinogenic mushroom. Tale as old as time. Right.
Experiences are often called ineffable, but as a scientist, I do my best to F it up by trying to describe it as much as I can. So I'll go ahead and do that. Our society has been in a mental health crisis, and it's been stagnating. A large portion of people treated with traditional antidepressants don't see benefit. Psychedelics are the only drug class that I know of where you have not just one or two, but lots of stories of people saying they took this thing one time and they say it had this profound impact on the course of their entire life. They really exploded on the scene in the 1960s and were associated with some really radical changes to society that really scared a lot of people. I think now society is more ready to kind of accept these compounds and the whole picture of them. I'm Matt Johnson. I'm a professor of psychiatry at Johns Hopkins. I study drugs, principally psychedelics.
I like guys like this.
It's hard to imagine a more interdisciplinary topic in the realm of drugs than psychedelics. They've apparently been used for time immemorial throughout many different cultures on the planet. Kary Mullis won the Nobel Prize inventing PCR, which revolutionized biology. He said he wouldn't have been able to do that had he not had experience in taking psychedelics. You move into the arts and then, who hasn't heard of musicians and other artists claiming that psychedelics had a profound impact on their creativity? There's the Beatles before LSD.
Yeah.
And then there's the Beatles after LSD.
What a shift.
That's a big shift.
That is true.
The initial big wave of that scientific interest for psychedelics was in the 1950s. So this was about a decade after Albert Hofmann had first discovered the psychoactive properties of LSD. There was a group in Maryland called the Spring Grove Group, a lot of early research there, particularly with cancer patients.
Yeah.
But I would say one of the most important groups in the history of this work was led by Abram Hoffer and Humphrey Osmond in Saskatchewan, Canada. They were really the first group that I would say developed what we now call psychedelic therapy. There was this growing appreciation of some of the risks and the safeguards needed to minimize those risks, but not every investigator was aware of this. There was some unethical research, some wild research. There was controversy surrounding Timothy Leary, especially after he was fired from Harvard.
Turn on, tune in, and drop out.
Psychedelics became
he was
associated with the counterculture. Society was, in a sense, traumatized. It all came to a halt. I mean, there were researchers that were running sessions and got the notices they just had to stop. The rug is pulled out for decades before there's a reinitiation.
So, all right, let's just get into some of this here. I do have something I want, things that what I grew up with. So when I grew up, there was the DARE initiative in place by Ronald Reagan. You probably may have heard of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Remember DARE?
Yes.
So it was this
I've heard of that. Yeah, DARE.
They got celebrities behind it, big money went behind it. And I now find it interesting after I've learned more and I'm wiser because I'm older than the internet. So I was kind of just believed everything I was told when I was a kid. I went to Catholic school. It was Jesus, Mary, hell, heaven. I didn't know what a Muslim was. I didn't know a lot. I didn't know about Buddha. I didn't know about none of it. So when I first started hearing about these drugs, that I think a lot of them are, if you look historically, they're super important to all the cultures. You can look at the mushrooms, the blue lotus that the Egyptians would use, LSD. They were making like ergot back in the day. The Greeks, the Romans, they were finding ways to transcend with psychedelics, right? Started democracy. It seems like the psychedelics get humans closer to this divine knowledge that seems to be in the universe, the mathematics, the sciences, all of the extraordinary things that make our reality. And in the 80s with it seemed like it was a conscious effort in America to diminish every one of those drugs. So it could be all of the ones like LSD, marijuana, psilocybin, cocaine. I understand why they do that. That's not a psychedelic, but somehow then there's more of them. I'm not even addressing. There's a ton more. They got all diminished. And then there was the rise of a doctor writing you a script and putting you on drugs, right? So when I grew up, it was like drugs are bad, drugs are bad. All the while in the 80s and 90s, drug pharmaceutical companies are becoming the most wealthy companies in the world and in the country. What a contradiction to tell a little kid don't do drugs, while all the while these things are, Oxycontin came eventually. All these drugs are just amassing wealth and power and brokering and lobbyists, and it's taken over the whole world. And it's like, but it seemed like they diminished the ones that woke the people up and made it a crime. If they're tier 1 drugs, so you can do federal crime for distributing psilocybin. You can go to jail for the rest of your life. Your life is over now. And I think it was on purpose in a lot of ways that these drugs were diminished. What do you think?
Yeah. To me, I look at it like just from what I've heard and read and seen. I've read a few books on these things, and I have some friends who've experienced it too, which is psilocybin, which is interesting. Their experience is a whole thing too. But what's interesting is like, if a failure to approach it like scientifically. Like initially, they were approaching it scientifically. Obviously this has an effect on a person, on the brain, and they can reach a state of being that, I guess, like you said, it transcends what they think they're seeing. It transcends their current state, and you can reach frankly, an altered state. And, and it's like, why wouldn't we? I think from just a pure scientific standpoint, want to ethically understand what that is, because as these researchers were initially discovering, in the 50s and the 1960s and perhaps even the 70s, what's that altered state, and can it be used to increase or enhance the well-being of the person in the right environment? Of course, there are risks. There are risks to everything. Right?
Dose.
But dosage. You don't want to have like the psychic breaks that you hear about or things like that.
But also, not to cut you off, you could walk into a Walmart and buy drugs in there that you can take yourself out. You don't buy the big jar of painkillers or pain relief, which would be ibuprofen. You don't eat the whole thing, do you? But it's still
we're not pounding in the ID.
But you could. It sits in your cupboard, right? Like you got enough to take yourself out, and it's just sold so casually at a CVS, right?
And it's troubling to me that and I guess we're realistic. We live in the world, but I mean, money, talks. You could say
money.
It's
huge money.
And it's sad that that's gotten in the way of a genuine understanding of the science behind what these things do or can do, or how they affect your brain, and how they might help people with genuine issues like real depression or real anxiety or real whatever, addiction even. I've heard stories of people who they'll have a profound experience and they stop using the socially damaging drugs, the heroines and the cocaines, the way
alcohol has been promoted, like it's how many alcohol commercials where it's like, if you drink alcohol, there's going to be women in bikinis, and you know what I mean, like such a sensationalized thing. And this was the drug that was abolished. This was the thing they tried in America to actually get rid of, and they were like, no. I think it is 100% on purpose, because there's a lot of really smart people in America, a lot of really smart people in the world, people who go to school for disciplines, and who is suppressing really smart people? Now they're not, but who's suppressing the people from doing the clinical research on all of these drugs? Why was there? And I think it was this consciousness, like governments obviously worry about their populations, and they worry about panic and public you know, you don't want to scare the people.
Right. You want a public order.
You
so
want to, and religion, like forget it. They just want to suppress, right? But then if you, I know about older religions and where they originate from, and it seems like a lot of them were on psychedelics. Like when the burning bush, for instance, that Moses saw, there's some data that burning bush, I don't know the name of it, has a cool name, that it emits psychedelics, right? So like, I think it is 100%. It's starting to lift. What they did to marijuana for all those years is insane. I'll keep it brief. There was a man in America, I don't know his name, but he was a paper guy. He was in the printing business. He made paper. So when you printed, you needed paper, right? So he wanted to dominate in the industry. So hemp is it's a truly amazing plant.
Oh yeah.
Right. So hemp can do everything from, it can do many things, but it's very strong. Hemp is powerful and you can make paper out of hemp. So this guy he knew whatever, judges, blah, blah, blah. He paid a bunch of people to make the word for marijuana in America, marijuana. So it sounded more dangerous. And then they started saying that Mexicans were vilifying Mexicans. Oh, this was all to diminish hemp paper. So this dude could just go out there, and he did, and he made a ton of money, and paper became dominant, not hemp paper.
That's so.
That's
wild.
intentional.
I didn't know that story about that
It's true.
paper.
Coca-Cola, I'm not going to get into Coca-Cola, but that's a whole other big thing.
Coca-Cola is another thing.
Man.
Yeah,
that's a whole big one.
Used to be issued by your pharmacists. It's a shame in a way because I think there's a lot of. Who was the guy? There was another scientist. They didn't mention him in this video, or at least not yet. I think was it Terrence McKenna?
Yeah,
one.
He's the guy.
He did a study of like all. I mean, you name the psychedelic substance, he's probably tried it. He journaled like his experience with this, and he would, I
just learned so much recently in the past couple of years more about Terrence McKenna. Basically, long story short, he was a young man. Him and his brother went to Brazil or South America somewhere, and they tracked down the area where it's never gone. In the States, it's suppressed, but there's cultures that carry on this word of mouth and shaman, so they found the region where these like super powerful mushrooms were, right? And they told like the locals were living in the woods. They got like huts and shit. And these Americans are coming, they're just like, we'll pay for this. We just want to be in this. They went in a house for like a month and ate mushrooms every day, all day.
Right. Went, like some might say off the deep end.
Oh,
right?
he lived in a whole, every day. And the one brother was into hut more. He couldn't. I watched the whole interview with his brother, and for some reason, Terrence had the ability to do a lot of mushrooms and actually walk and talk. He could go like outside and do shit. And
he was still able to like operate.
Right. But the brother was just like blasted, laying. They were in a house for like a month eating mushrooms every day.
Could you imagine? I don't like. Once, let alone every day for a month. I don't know.
But that Terrence McKenna's the foremost. You mentioned him because that man literally like threw himself into the ether, and he's great. I love his voice too. Terrence McKenna is
he does.
He's a great, interesting guy.
Yeah, I listened to his voice on. I think it was a recording on a podcast somewhere. They played something he was saying, describing his experience, I think, and he does have a cool voice.
It's a very cool. He's kind of like in on it, right? Like he's like to me, I love people who are a personality that they have fleshed out, kind of like Alan Watts, right? These people when they speak, it's almost like when a wrestler, like The Rock or somebody, he has a persona that he's doing. Mm-hmm. It's like you, but you're intensifying it, and that's what I like about those guys is that they make like it's almost like comedy. It's like a shtick, right? But it isn't. It's just a performance of a person.
It's like they turned up a volume of a piece of their genuine self.
Yeah.
And then that resonates. I mean, like Alan Watts is. And
they become entertainers just by talking in front of you.
His words entertain me. That's for sure. I watch his videos.
I would say Jordan Peterson is another one too. Jordan Peterson.
He'll do it. Yep. He's another one who he dials up an element of his personality, and you're right. It's
I appreciate the characters that do that.
Research that's happening now. A lot of it is exploring medical applications.
Oh, the other thing, I think the reason why they diminish these drugs is because it cures people, and it's way more lucrative to keep people sick. That's probably, it's got to be a big reason.
Makes you wonder,
No,
right?
it's got to be true. It has to be, because it is so lucrative.
It's just
These are all
like,
drugs
we
that
don't wanna
can
lose
have
that
a
stream of income
profound
from-
effect on one's sense of reality, including one's sense of self.
I think that he's saying it there. I think the sense of self is the thing that is the most changed radically, is your sense of self. And that's like the thing that, you know, people think they figure out. But man, if you really start to like allow yourself to dig deeper in that, you'll find it's that as above, so below. The universe is inside of us. That's what I kind of know and have experienced, you know? And the work is endless because the universe is us. It's inside of us.
There is like a whole universe inside. There really is. It's like, it's crazy. If you
Kind of the only
even through just simple mindfulness, you'll
the
go down that rabbit
psychedelics,
hole itself.
they make it obvious quickly, you know, like there's no beating around the bush. It's like
with that,
crack you right in the face, and you're like, damn.
You can,
because all the other stuff's slow. Recovering.
Meditation's like, I've heard it likened to lifting a sail, and you're slowly kind of sailing in a soft breeze. Whereas if you were to take like mushrooms or something else, psychedelic like that, it's like a rocket ship. I've heard you're strapping on the rocket ship, and you push that button, and you are.
Well, like even like being a recovering alcoholic is a very long process. It's like your whole life you're recovering, right? You're always an addict and stuff like that. That's a long thing. But the psychedelics is just like serves it up to you, like, you know, it's like,
because if you have the dose high enough, something really interesting is going to happen.
The heroic dose, right?
You might find yourself in your mind's eye, soaring in the heavens, the secrets of the universe seemingly revealed to you. On the other hand, 5 seconds later, it might collapse into what folks call a bad trip, where one could feel like they're gonna die.
Yeah.
It's sort of this like massive shakeup in one's experience of reality.
Wow.
Well, it's such a difficult thing to. It takes maturity to be able to stand at the edge. It takes maturity. People mostly live through panic attacks and bad trips, right? So it's like you live through that. You learn through that, right? And I'm not talking about an acid bad trip. I'm talking about in general, if you're getting walloped with like this really profound sense of self, you can't, if you're not prepared, you're gonna crumble. It's like you don't go and take a test for Algebra 2 without having studied Algebra 1 and have extensively studied the method.
Right.
You're gonna
add 2 + 2 at least. You know, you have to be able to do
more than that. You got to be able to do exponents. You got to be able to do the powers. You got to be able to do a lot of things. You have to have a firm grasp on advanced things, and then they become normal. So I think when you're getting blasted in there, the only way out is to crumble. And I think that's what the crumble is.
It's like that expression too, like the man stared into the abyss and the abyss stared back into him. Like I think something like that. Yeah, it's man.
Yeah.
Wild, man.
I'm floored when people with really substantial life experience will say things like, this was the most meaningful experience of their life.
Yeah.
Compared to the intensity of the subjective effects, it's remarkable how little impact these substances have on physiology. You know, your heart rate, your blood pressure, everything has its risk, to be clear. But compared to other drug classes,
that's mescaline right there. That's peyote.
Oh, is that what that is?
That's one I'd like to cover because that is okay. So I'm more prone to the divine feminine. There's like ayahuasca and stuff like that has a divine feminine energy to a divine. There's like a presence in there.
Yeah, that's the female.
This
spirit,
one,
right?
this one's got the man. This one has the man energy.
Oh, is that the male energy? Okay,
big time.
Interesting.
And this is the ones that the Native Americans would do. This, I don't think the women could even do it.
Oh, yes.
This is when the
men.
men.
Is this the one where the men go into the tent?
Correct. Yep.
And they're like, I've heard it said, yeah. There's another name for that, but yeah, that's I forget now.
This is peyote.
Peyote. That's it.
This is peyote. The technical term is mescaline, but
okay.
So this is the exact opposite, and I like to learn more about the guy because for some weird reason I've even in video games like I like the women and I play as the girls. I used to play as the female protagonist. And like, I realized that I'd like to learn more about the man, the dominant masculine.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, I know.
People who've told me I've heard on podcasts, really, they've done both the, I think ayahuasca, the female, and that person also mentioned he had done he had taken the peyote as well, separate experience, the male, and he said it is a different experience.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like one's better or worse. It's just different. It's like, it is like man and woman kind of the way he felt like it. So that would be,
If I could kind of like put it into something I just experienced today. So my son, I'd like to tell my son stories on here because as he gets older and I rewatch these, it's good. You know, it's scary. So he's 2. And then when he gets to change his diaper, because when he goes potty, right, number 2, all of a sudden he wants daddy to do it, right? Like he doesn't always want mommy to do everything.
Right.
So he's real particular now. He's just like, daddy, do it. Daddy. And I don't like changing poop diapers. I really don't. I try to get her. She's willing to do. She's willing to do it, so I let her do it. So anyway, we get up there. He starts crying, losing his mind. He doesn't know what he wants. He's being a 2-year-old. And like in her nature, it is not to ever grip him up or to manhandle him. And I'm not saying I beat my son. I definitely do not beat my son, right? So
no, of course.
So no way. I'm gonna tell the rest of the story. So her nature is to not put hands, not to be rougher, right? And this is kind of how I'm thinking of the divine feminine and this right here, this peyote, right? So like my son was popping off, so I grip him up, and what I want to say is he's very strong. I know he is strong enough to take my little bit of. I hold him tighter. I don't pick him up nicely. I just grip him up.
A little bit of pressure, right?
Yeah, and he can. Of course, he can handle it. He's a boy, and I know he can. He's strong, and I think that maybe the mescaline or the peyote knows you're capable of enduring. You know, like if you're around a bunch of boys, you're gonna wrestle. Somebody might get a bloody lip. You're gonna bleed if you're around a bunch of men. You know, it's just that's that energy.
Yeah, it's true. It's like when climbing things as kids, like when I was a young boy and climbing all kinds of stuff. Like,
but I grabbed my son, I put him up there. He stop. He doesn't stop crying and crying and crying. So I put my hand on his mouth. I'm like, calm down, stop it. She's like, don't put your hand on his mouth. And I was just like, he needs to know to stop. It's not okay for him to just go crazy like this. My point is, he's my son, and he's strong. Like when he throws his elbows at me and rolls on me, I feel his strength. So like, I know I can be a little rough with him. Sometimes we wrestle and I pin him and he likes it. So I'm saying, it's like, it's a good thing when there's that masculine energy that challenges you. We're not hurting you. We're just, we're playing, we're bumping. We're you know, that's what we're doing.
I'm with you. It's that challenging. I think the masculine energy challenges, it pushes just to the limit to say, hey, especially, well, for children, you know, you can handle this. It's okay. Mom is the feminine is more the protective kind of energy, you know, the shield from the harm of the man is saying, no, the man is almost like progressively desensitizing to you know, the world. The world isn't always a nice place, unfortunately. So, you know, it's a get ready. And
it's like a calculated.
I'm here for you.
A calculated it's a calculated sparring is what it is, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And through that play, like you said, the wrestling, I understand it. It's how they learn like boundaries.
Yeah.
What's you know, what's too hard, what's too soft, that kind of thing. You got to learn how they work too.
Absolutely.
You know, the body works and physicality in the world.
If you're a boy, you're going to get roughed up in some way. And the one thing I don't want my son to be is if something happens, he can't just fall apart. Like, it's okay. You dust yourself off, which he does all the time anyway. So that's kind of how I would imagine if those psychedelics were like thinking more like how I would, how as a parent, as a dynamic, right? They would be so much more than us, but they would also be like, they're just trying to get you maybe to be stronger in a way, right? The first time you do jujitsu, you're gonna get beat up, and then after a while, you want someone to challenge you when you get good. You want somebody to exploit that little weakness you have. You know, you're like, thank you, I appreciate that you did that because I didn't know I had that. You know?
Yeah. That's a great point. Well said.
Yeah, thank you. Let's get back into this. Yeah. I like when I talk with you here because it's nice because I'm allowed to. I can think about what's happening in my life and sort of like narrow it into focus and apply it to what we're talking about. And then you do the same. So this is when it's
Which is
in my
nice,
opinion, at its best, right?
Yes. I
Psychedelics are
agree.
really robustly safe at the physiological level.
That's interesting too. Yeah.
My
What do you say?
Oh, that psychedelics are robustly safe, generally speaking, at the
Yeah.
physiological level. Yeah, like it
Yeah.
doesn't have the dramatic physiological effect one might think they have when you consider what your brain is doing
Like
in that moment, right?
alcohol isn't giving you that same respect, you know, but it seems like
right.
it seems like the psychedelics are so smart that they know how to give you what you need, the dose you need, you know.
It's interesting because we know, like, say, alcohol is a great example. Alcohol will wreck your body. You got too much of that, and your liver's shot. You're among other things. It's not good.
Well, there's
the social damage.
Yeah, I don't know completely what I'm talking about, but I know a little. Okay, so alcohol is a spirit, right? They call it a spirit, and there's the true name for it. It's like this demon, but not a demon. It's like a monster, and it has a name like very similar to alcohol. And you're inviting it into your body when you're drinking it. It is the spirit.
And
it has a specific name.
And
there's a whole breakdown of what that thing is that you're allowing into you when you drink alcohol. And it's not a good thing.
Right.
It's not as positive as maybe the mushrooms.
My therapeutic research with psychedelics has primarily used psilocybin, which is the agent in magic mushrooms. The dose we now give to patients is anywhere from 30 milligrams to 40 milligrams.
That's pretty strong.
Terrence McKenna, who's the famous
there he is. Of course he's coming. Of course he is.
Psychedelic bard would refer to repeatedly as the heroic dose. If a microdose is over here and a recreational dose is over here, we're way over here.
Yeah.
When someone comes in for the day of their psychedelic session, they've already spent several hours with us on previous days preparing for the experience, developing that rapport. We know that all drugs are in part shaped by the context in which they're given, but for the psychedelic substances, that's particularly more so. So when you provide it in more of a warm, welcoming situation, you tend to get more meaningful reactions to the substance.
Oh, she's drinking the tea. That's pretty
king in a way.
Yeah, setting. It's cool. You can just drink a tea, That's charming.
When the experience unfolds, the person is going to lay down, wear eye shades and headphones through which music is played.
Yeah.
So the idea is kind of get out of your normal, everyday, discursive, analyzing intellect. We really just encourage them to trust, let go, and be open. Trust the overall process. Going into this type of treatment is not easy at all. Trust yourself that you're robust. You're going to get through this experience. Let go. What does let go mean? Let go means whatever your preconceived notions of what this experience might be or what experience you should have.
Yeah.
Don't let that get in the way for the experience that you will have.
I just think in general, it's not great when you sit around thinking about exactly how you think it's going to go and the way that's normally never ends up that way.
Don't try to
control. It's good advice
it.
for life, really, too. Like just generally, I say trust, let go, and let's trust yourself, let go, and
It seems like the simplest things are the hardest things.
Oh, and be open. Yeah, one of my favorite.
Be open. No matter where this takes you, go there.
Yeah.
Whatever the experience is, take the orientation of this is what I need to deal with.
Okay. Be open. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So let it come,
range of experiences are just so broad. You can swing from a terrifying experience to this beatific, sort of like most amazing experience of your life. Some people could feel like they've reached the end of reality, this kind of plane of existence. Others say that they can feel the suffering across the entire planet.
Wow.
Sort of having this sort of experience of universal empathy. It's all welcomed. The laughter, the tears, everything in between. That's exactly what this process is for.
I try to, whenever I have, do something that's challenging anymore. Just allow yourself to cry. That's why I think the setting would be important to me. And in general, I don't like to let myself be emotional in public or around people. I just always am very stoic. So I find when I'm in positions like that anymore, I just let the tears go. You cry for as long as you want to cry. You don't stop it. You just let it go through the process.
Yeah, I like that too. Because a lot of times I know if I've broken down in tears, it's I laugh about it now. And it wasn't a funny situation at the time,
No,
but
it's hard.
when you're crying in kind of a public setting, like and I try to stop, right? It's like, oh no, I'm in public. I've gotta,
I've actually never cried in public. I've never cried ever.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
It was in my case, I'm thinking of a funeral of someone
yeah.
relatively close. So it just hit me at one of those moments.
Well,
I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I gotta like pull myself together. I gotta show that I'm, strong enough. But the more I tried to make it stop,
Well,
the worse it got. Like, 'cause, I'm sniffling and it's all. It was,
the crying really, it takes over your whole body.
it did. It really did.
Hemorrhaging.
Yeah, and it is sort of. It probably would have been. Obviously, in that environment, everybody understands, right? But it would have almost been better, I think, perhaps, now that I think back on it, to just let it happen as it was. If that's the emotion.
It could be really debilitating. You could vomit. You can absolutely get sick, man. If you let it hit you really hard, you can, your knees will go out. Like
you can, people who, really
real pain, real suffering, real grieving.
True.
And do that.
Like misery. Yeah, that moment at least.
I watched the thing with I don't know who these people are. I watched so many different podcasts and shorts. But anyway, it was like this Marine, and a lot of people he had served with were all, taking themselves out, ending themselves. And he they all come back with PTSD or whatever, and he stopped drinking or whatever. And he was like, somebody else did it. And he was like, he said, I went and sat in a chair and I felt all of it. And he said, it took a long time. Yeah. So like, I guess he just like cried and yelled and screamed and cried on the floor and yelled to the sky. And like, cause like a lot of people want to numb that part of the equation.
Right. It seems to me too, like if you try to, you're aware of an emotion, you try to bottle it up somehow.
Yeah,
well, I'm going
to
just hold it and put it over here.
Yeah.
I've done this too. And at a certain point, it's going to come out.
Yeah, it is. And it should.
It needs an outlet, that energy, so to speak, I guess. It needs an outlet. And I agree, it should. It has to happen.
It usually is, for a lot of people, it's creativity. It's like a project or something that they get involved in. Be it painting, wood sculpting, travel, exercise. What's the word? You're just releasing.
You're kind of releasing it. I did a painting thing last weekend, and it was interesting because I can't say I'm the best painter in the world. It's not going to end up in the Louvre
Painting's hard
anytime soon. But it was cool because like just moving the brush and kind of like just letting it go. It was cherry blossoms, right? So painting the branches. And like I was like, oh, well, this is kind of fun because the branches can be wherever I want them to go. Whatever I'm feeling in that moment is going to paint a branch.
Sure.
And then the blossoms on them. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. It was a good time.
All right. I'm not yawning because of you. I'm just yawning in general.
Oh, thank goodness.
So the integration phase is where we're discussing the experience with them. And the themes
the integration,
that come up are so varied. One of the aspects you could call revealed truth. And I call these duh moments. These are experiences where people will feel like they've learned something at such a fundamental level. I think of examples in our work we've done with cancer patients where, oftentimes people will say, I'm allowing this to create my own suffering. The cancer hasn't killed me yet. I can still live life, but I'm letting it do this to me. They knew it up here. They could tell you the words. But now they feel it in their bones, they feel it in their heart. People are reminded about this power they have to choose their own destiny. Some people come out of these sessions as participants and say that one 6-hour experience with psilocybin is like 1,000 hours of therapy.
Well, yep.
I've heard that said too. Yeah.
But one of the pitfalls of this clinical work is that you'd be hard-pressed to find a more intimate and vulnerable psychological intervention for a person. That's just a situation that is ripe for abuses if we don't have the right safeguards. Because of that vulnerability, because of the incredible gravity of these sessions, we need to even more tenaciously cling to clinical boundaries. We need to limit the use of therapeutic touch. A subtler form of abuse is just filling in the blanks for people. I call it the guru complex. People often confront big picture questions. What is the meaning of life? Does God exist?
Yeah.
What's the big picture of everything that's going on? What am I? On those metaphysical questions, we really have to be silent.
Okay. He said on those metaphysical questions, we have to be silent.
Yeah, at least as the clinician, I guess he doesn't want to like fill
Oh,
in
that's
blanks
where
for people.
the context
Yeah.
he's talking about. Understood. Right.
Yeah, so he doesn't want to like say like if someone has that, wow, I had this experience and I feel like I saw the face of God as a
Right,
classic,
right.
or God touched me somehow. And let's say he had his own doubts, he wouldn't want to say, no, that's ridiculous,
Right.
or that's not really what happened. What happened was, I think he just leaves it.
Yeah, which is kind of nice because you
person
allow
to-
them
yeah, which is nice.
to
Yeah.
interpret their own painting as opposed to
Yeah,
either-
exactly.
either
Instead of-
reinforcing something and then that just becomes like in stone, right? Just
Yeah.
allowing that person to kind of like look at the abstract and let them
yeah, exactly.
make it
Let them kind
clear
of decide.
to
yeah.
themselves, to only themselves, which is the hardest thing I get so annoyed sometimes when I'm like talking to people. It's great because we really can express ourselves and carry on the thought. But it's just like many people, I won't do it because I can't get to the middle. I can't get to the end. And then I'm like, it wasn't even worth it anyway. I should have just kept that for inside. It was mine anyway. Why did I even bother giving it to them?
It's true. Sometimes, I mean, we all try, I guess. We can't help it. We're social creatures, humans.
Yeah.
But I guess there are moments when I've had that too, where I've talked with somebody and like I kind of realize halfway through a story, that person's gone. They're not interested or whatever, or whatever's going on in their head. Their attention wandered. I try to comfort myself with the idea, well, either they're not mindful of their attention, which not as a criticism, but just as like a noticing.
Well,
but
it's like how I always talk.
what can you do, right?
Or they don't care. One of the biggest,
or they don't care, right?
The most
right.
defeating things I used to go through with anything creative that I would put. I guess I did want people's validation. I did want them to look at it and be like, "Oh, that's good." And I think that carried. Like even when I used to play piano before, I'd be like, "Oh, I hope somebody hears me and thinks I'm good." And
oh, right.
I've gotten past that now, where I play for the just for the sake of doing it, just for the act of doing it.
Yeah.
And I play because I like it, And that took a long time to get there, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't, because you're way better at the thing you're doing when you're just present in it, in what you're doing. People can tell.
Yeah, that's very true. And I found too, like, guilty, right? Validation seeking statements or behaviors. It's kind of like, oh, I'm gonna, show people like what a great guy I am, or how funny I can be, or whatever it is, right? And some people really, they just don't care. Their minds are on other things, whatever. So it's like, it kind of, at first it would sting. Oh man, that person, they just don't get it. They just don't get it. They're not as funny, or they don't have a sense of humor. They do. It's just, then I'd start to realize, no, they don't need to. It's okay. I'm just gonna be me in that moment. And if I think it's funny, like in appropriate moments, right? But if I think it's funny, I'm gonna say it. If I'm in a moment where I want to share a story, great. If they don't get it, that's okay too. Like it isn't a knock on me or the story or my life.
Yeah, I think of it more in like social settings. Social settings to me aren't one-on-one. It's many people in the room. It's when you're out with a bunch of people and you're talking to strangers and it's fine and dandy because everyone's lying to each other and embellishing, and people like when you embellish because then you both can lie to each other, and that's what people like when they go out.
Oh yeah, it
But
almost
it's
gives
like-
the permission to
to just to tell tall tales and talk shit, right? And I just that in those situations, that's when I don't do it. The one-on-one stuff, it doesn't matter because I already know who I'm talking to, right? To me, anyway, I know what the relationship is.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
get what you're saying.
that
there,
larger
yeah.
group mentality. That anymore, I just don't. Who am I impressing? What are we doing here? Am I having? Is my food good? I want good food. Can I have a good food?
Yeah,
Can I have
you start to get. It's true. Like I think of things in one-on-one scenarios for simplicity's sake, but you're right. In a group setting,
Yeah.
in a social setting, which is another type of animal, right? Like at a certain point, like how am I like? I can't possibly impress everybody in the room with one. Like why am I even going to do that? Instead, it's like you said, am I going to get a good meal? Am I getting a drink
Yeah.
I like? Am I even surrounded? Am I in an environment I find enjoyable?
Yeah.
Do I like the people I came with or I'm meeting in that moment?
A lot
Like,
of times the answer is no to many of those questions.
yeah, I've started to realize that too. It's like, wait a second.
Like I should have just stayed home.
Yeah, that reality. Yeah, like why did I come to this place? Like, why didn't I just stay home? And like, I would enjoy myself even more watching a movie with a friend or on my own. Like what is this?
Yeah, you just want that rare chance that you go out and it's like, I don't know. A lot of people are like, I met the love of my life. I met this great I don't know, whatever. Hey, let's get back to this.
Yeah.
In the biggest
Yeah, right.
picture, aside from psychedelics' ability to treat one disorder or another, I think they're just poised to really help us to understand the nature of psychiatric disorders. What commonalities do they have with each other that are somehow being addressed by psychedelic
That's
treatment?
cool looking. I like that graphic.
I kind of think of all of these disorders as different forms of addiction. So whether it's to a substance like tobacco or alcohol, cocaine, or a way of thinking about yourself, it's this narrowed mental and behavioral repertoire. Reality used to be like this,
Yeah.
and now your reality is like this.
Yeah.
And psychedelics,
Yeah.
when done well, in the right setting, had the ability to just blow people out of that narrowed story.
Yep.
It holds a lot of promise in helping us figure out what it takes for the human being to be mentally healthy.
Yeah, I just experienced so many times, especially when I was younger. It's just like, you have to make money, pay your bills, pay car insurance, do this.
Oh, yeah.
You have to you have to work, you have to do this, you have to and it's just like that's all you go for is you're just like, stay off my fucking back. You know what I mean? Like, get off
the
me.
voice you do in that voice, right? That's
my
a
mother.
great way.
That was
to
my mother's
express it.
voice when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's a great way to express that. Yeah, we do. I think I've heard it said by Russell Brand and then by, oh God, I think it was like a pickup artist or something separately, that we can become addicted to our thoughts, and everyone has falls somewhere on the spectrum of addiction, and you can become addicted to your thoughts, and sometimes they're negative thoughts. And like he described in the video, your reality kind of starts to become very narrow and very rigid. And
Well, sure.
it's kind of a shame. when that
Especially when you get all scarred up,
Yeah.
it can be
scar tissue hardens, right? So
mental scars, physicals, right? Like I say, like you're a single parent and you just feel like you got betrayed, and a lot of people don't let that one go. Divorce can get people real bad. Somebody who beats you up and you never got one over on them. This person over here is fabulously rich. A woman who really wanted a baby and could never have one, and her best friend she grew up with got one. The jealousy, it really, and then they start to drink and focus and fester on this, and be like, my mom was the same way. Her husband was a piece of shit, and you're just like that worldview is just tightening. That tunnel is tightening and tightening. Right?
Tighten that.
Yep.
A resentment builds, and it's not being given a proper outlet. It just builds and builds. And who knows where that'll lead, right? It
usually people be miserable.
Misery.
Yeah. Miserable.
Misery.
And aggression. With men, it deals with aggression. It deals with those people who drive insane and pick up trucks who tailgate you and want to kill you over stop signs. It turns into, that's what it turns into. It turns into aggression. I
laugh, but you're absolutely right. And it's like, I'm going to show. They're all the same.
The next person.
I'm going to show them. Yeah, the next guy who crosses my path, he's gonna get it. I might just be some random guy asking for directions, right? Oh, that's it. Wrong place at the
So
wrong
yeah,
time.
I think that I think the psychedelics. I think those people who are the tough guys are afraid of them because it'll crack them and shatter them. They can't stand up. Their ego can't stand it. It's gonna destroy your ego. If you do a heroic dose and you're like, oh, I'm a tough guy, I do this all the time, man, you're gonna get blasted. You'll probably have a bad trip because you're bucking it so hard with your, you know.
I have a friend who tends to be a comedic guy, and he worked for this. He worked as a security guard, and he said he did essentially what sounded to me at the time like he told me this story. He did this heroic dose while he was on the job, right?
Oh
So
my
he did
God.
like a night shift at this place. So there was no one there, but one of the things you have to do in the night shift is walk around this factory.
Yep.
Kind of, I guess the best way to put it, and like just hit these different checkpoints. But he said as he's walking around, like he's able to walk around, but now he's getting the full like range of experience, like the whole psychedelic, like the floors are moving.
Oh,
He
geez.
says he can see the atoms in the walls, and I can't even go into all the descriptions, but it sounds so like when he first told me this story, I'm like, what are you talking about? This is insane. Now, as I've listened to others who've done this, it's like, oh no, this actually sounds quite normal for someone who's taken psilocybin. It was just such a wild story, but he did say it changed him. Like he never looked at things the same way after that.
What a weird place.
And it was a very weird
They talk
thing,
about
yeah.
set and setting. This guy's on the job with cameras on him.
Yeah.
That's good on
Yeah,
him.
right?
He must
And he
be.
said like the other guy he was talking to started looking like, this is an odd thing. He had another person he was talking with who was sober, right, or so to speak. He looked like Max Headroom to him.
Oh,
You
jeez.
remember that 1980s
Yeah, the weird guy.
with the
I would never.
background behind.
I would never do what that guy did. That is talk about set and setting. That's
No,
the
that
most.
sounds a bit.
I would hate
yeah.
that. Talk about it.
I wouldn't recommend that.
No
either,
way.
From what I understand now.
You got to pretend like you're normal and talk to people. No. That's
Yeah, I
insane.
wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend. I think the way this psychiatrist was talking about it in the video seemed like the most appropriate way to go about if
Yeah.
one wanted to, give these a go. It's under proper medical. It's being done right in the right set and setting and so forth. You're not walking around.
That's a very extreme thing. But a lot of people, when they do those type of things, I don't know, they don't have a lot of guidance. They're just like, oh, okay, we'll go. I'm at work.
Well, like, I will say, he said he had a very profound experience now, for what it's worth. But yeah, I think the more recommended way to do it is probably this psychiatrist.
Yeah. And that's the problem too.
suggested,
When you're
yeah.
younger, you don't know anything, dude. You hang out with a
Yeah,
bunch
young
of dudes.
people.
Just
Yeah.
like, you just be like,
Like, I'm gonna try that too.
so
Yeah.
it's the most reckless behavior, especially when there's
goodness.
more of them around each other. It's just, they do the dumbest things, I took like 15 of them. It's like, why did you do that?
And, some of the things are so ridiculous. Granted, it's not psychedelic, but like, I can drink 2 Red Bulls in an hour. Oh yeah, well I can
No.
drink 3.
No.
Please don't. Like, please take care of yourselves.
Yeah, that's-
Red Bull
again,
in
that's
that
it.
quantity and that
That's-
time is not good for you.
That is the ego. That's the ego there.
Yeah.
Don't listen to it. It's not your friend, dude. The ego's not your friend.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, he was fine, and then he turned purple. I don't know what happened. He's dead. It's like, well, he's dead.
Everything was fine until, like 15 Red Bulls in an hour later. Definitely not a good idea. Very bad idea, as a matter of fact. So,
Well, that was fun.
yeah.
What are
That
we,
was.
What are we heading out of here with? We're going out with the train today.